All new tonight, H&N investigates a state official charged in a public corruption case who's still going to work and still getting a taxpayer-funded paycheck.
As our Lynn Kawano shows us, Leo Asuncion Jr.'s state job is unaffected by the indictment.
It's inconsistent. One defendant is on unpaid leave, another on paid leave. But for Leo Asuncion Jr., it's business as usual. Leo Asuncion Jr. is one of 5 defendants accused in a suspected bribery conspiracy with charges that include obstruction. He was in court Thursday morning to plead not guilty with 4 of his co-defendants. Asuncion is the only one with a taxpayer-funded job unaffected by the criminal case. Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke put herself on unpaid leave in April. Ryan Yamane resigned as head of the Department of Human Services in May. Ford Fujigami went on 30-day paid leave as the airport's administrator after the indictments dropped. But Asuncion continues to work as the planning program administrator of the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
Normally what happens in these situations is the person is placed on paid administrative leave, so there's no presumption of guilt. They're still considered innocent. They still retain their employment rights. They're just not exercising the same government responsibilities.
Working on taxpayer dollar while you're indicted is a bad look. But let's remember one thing. Everybody is presumed innocent, and these are just allegations.
State rules show a public employee can be put on 30-day leave immediately, but anything more requires additional justification.
30-day cooling off period, 30-day internal investigation to review to see how that sector will go forward with this person if they choose it. For some in the public, a paid leave for 30 days may be too much when you have an indictment, but that is the system in place. Let's be consistent.
In a statement, Asuncion's boss told H&N Investigates, based on the information available, the reported matter is unrelated to the state employment or his official duties. The office will cooperate with any lawful request from the appropriate authorities as needed. The statement continued the ongoing legal matter is outside their jurisdiction, so they wouldn't comment further. Asuncion was Sylvia Luke's campaign treasurer when the alleged criminal behavior took place. The agency he works at now develops long-term plans to protect the environment and guides land use policies. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.